folks, this is Zeke of Muddy River Fishing Buddies, and I'm out here on High Rock Lake. I'm back in the end of Panther Creek. I'm gonna drag some baits out of here. I've got some gizzard shad, and I've got a little bit of chicken. I'm gonna try and see if they want something different. I'm gonna start back here in the back. It's about 7 foot of water here, and I'm gonna go out and probably towards the dam where it's the deepest of this lake, which is like 45 or 50 feet, and see if they're deep. The biggest fish that I've caught recently have been in deep water, so I want to try that and see if I can catch anything out here. Here's something jumping already, so we're going to see what happens. I got a few things that I want to show you as I start getting these rods out. I don't buy a lot of expensive stuff. I can't afford it, one, and if I start spending a lot of money, my wife wants to start limiting my fishing and what I'm doing. So I try to do things cheap, the cheapest that I can. I don't have very expensive rod and reels. I got this. My wife got me this for Father's Day. It is a lose. I mean, it's a good reel. The rod that I had, she broke the end off of it, so I had to put on a different rod. But I think everything together was. This is one of the more expensive ones that I have. Everything was, I think, like $120. I use it like a Carolina rig. I got a number 8 or an 8/0 circle hook. I got this inline float. It's like a demon dragon type thing. And then I've got 50-pound leader. And my weight, or my line on my rods are either 25 or 30 pounds. As far as that line, and a 50-pound leader. I use a sinker slide, just because I can change the weights easy. I can snap that thing and take this weight off that I'm not going to be using as I drag baits. I know you can buy dragging weights and they're expensive, so I decided to make some. And what I've got is I've got a 12-inch piece of heat shrink tube. It's 3/8. I heat shrink the end of it. I poured BBs in it. So I poured about probably 7-8 inches of BBs in it. They're up to right there. And then all I did was heat shrink a swivel in the end of it, and I can hook it on this, snap that in, and I've got a dragging weight, and they work pretty good. I've used them. I made some a couple years ago. They rarely get hung up. I mean, they will. Anything will at some point in time, but they work very well, and they're not very expensive to make, so that's why I like them. I'm going to put some shad on this. I'll show you a couple other rods that I've got. I just bought this one, a reel. This is a Penn Rival 15 LW. I put 30-pound braid on it. The rod, I was looking at rods, and they were, I think the cheapest one that I found, just a regular catfishing rod, was 30 bucks. I went to Walmart and I had this medium heavy rod, and it's a Shakespeare Tiger. It had a little reel on it that was like a Shakespeare reel, but it looked like a Zebco 202 or Zebco 33, that style. This whole thing went for 20 bucks. So I took the reel off and put this reel on it, which was about $60. That's one of the more expensive ones that I have, but I hadn't caught a fish on it yet, but it cast good. Skeeter got me 2 of these, which is the Okuma Classic CLX for Father's Day, and I put, one of them's got 25-pound line and the other's got 30-pound mono line on it, and I had the 2 rods. So, and I think it was, these reels were $40. And then you've seen the Zebco Bite Alert. I had the green bean that I loved until it wore out, but I went and bought another one. This is, I mean, same thing, it's just white. This whole setup, when I bought it, rod, reel, everything, was $50. And I think the first one that I got was $35 a few years ago. But that's what I use. I mean, I don't have to have the very expensive rods. I've caught big fish on these, and they work fine, and they're not very expensive, so I like that. All right, I also bought these planer boards. This is a Crazy Wolf planer board. It's got the little flag that I never get to work right anyway. But I put these on when I'm dragging weights, and it gets the line out away from the boat, so you're not dragging right behind the boat and you can get a bigger spread. I bought these two. I bought a set of them, a right and a left, and I think they were between $40 and $50 a piece. Cheapest ones I could find. I had a heart attack on that, but I did buy them. I don't know, it hurts my feelings to spend that much, so I decided to make some. I looked online, fishing stuff. If you ever want to check out, that guy's got a YouTube channel called Fishing Stuff. He made some, and I kind of took his idea and my idea and a couple other ideas, come up with a different one. I got basically it's just a piece of plastic. This is probably 5 inches by maybe 12 inches. I got a pool noodle and I slid it. I slid it over the plastic, and I silicone right here where it touches the plastic to hold it on there. I drilled a 1/4 inch hole in it. I got a 1/4 inch by 4 inch bolt that's just threaded on the end. I cut the head off and drilled a hole in it, put a nut on it, then put a lock nut on the backside so it won't come off. I bought these little clips on Amazon to clip the wire. Drilled another hole down here, and I found these little, it's like a little S-hook clip. It clips on two sides that you clip your line in on the bottom. They're in the key section at Lowe's, and it wasn't but like a couple bucks for probably 10 of them. So I got that on there, and I've used them, and they work great. And I doubt I have $5 in each of them when everything's all said and done. So I'm gonna show you how that works. Cast your lines out. I'm going to get in about 50 foot of water eventually, so I'm going to throw this thing out there a pretty good ways. And then you clip it on. You got a right and a left. You always want this thing sticking towards the boat, and it's going to take it out that way. You clip your little clip on the line here, and this clip will hold the line, and it'll hold it out. And when you catch a fish on it, if the strike of the fish don't release that thing, just kind of jerk it a little bit, and it'll pull the line out of this, and this will slide all the way down to where it hits that swivel or that sinker slot. And then once you get that on there, just let it out. The farther you let it out, the farther to the side it will go. Do the same thing on the other side. Set that one now, and if you'll notice, it'll start pulling to the side as soon as it tightens up. Got a little bit of chicken too. I'm gonna put that on one. There is a lot of bait in here, so I'm hoping there's gonna be a lot of catfish in here. Right now, that's all I'm gonna put out. When I get up here in that deeper water, I'll probably suspend some. You should be able to see on the camera that I've got a rack that I built, a rod rack that I can put my rods on. That's a 2 inch by 1 inch tube, and I bought a piece, cut the ends off to make my uprights, and a little platform there to weld it to the boat or bolt it to the boat. Got 3 of these rod holders from Walmart. I think they're like $6 or $7 each. These things. I had another boat, and I bought those plastic ones at Walmart, and if you catch big fish, they don't work good because a big fish will strip those things out. I about lost a couple rods with those things. So I got these, haven't had any problems. Used it down at the coast, and shark kind of bent that one right there a little bit, just a little bit. He pulled so hard, but I bent it back up. I wanted some way to cut my bait, so I decided to make me a bait tray. I've seen them on TV, you can buy them, or not online, but you can buy them. But I just bought, I think it's a 1/2 inch cutting board. And I cut 1 inch off of each side and 1 inch off the back. And I screwed it from the bottom up into those sides right there. Mounted it down through my rod and got a cutting board. It would probably cost me 20 bucks. I'm a cheapskate. Spin that when I'm at 28 foot deep. I just dropped it straight down until it hit the bottom and then reeled it up just a couple times. See if anything is there. Seems like there's a ton of fish under us, but they're not biting yet, and there is a bunch of bait in this little cove. I mean, there was so much bait a while ago. I was watching the depth finder. We were in like 23 foot of water. The bait was at 11 and the depth finder jumped up like it was looking at just at the bottom. Jumped up to 11 feet. So there was plenty of bait in there. It might be why they're not wanting mine. One fish, that's what I want, at least one. Fish on that rod and reel, so the planer board did work. Channel cat, we did catch one. Took me 2.5 hours to catch it, but I got him. That's going to do it for me for this evening. I don't know. They just wasn't hungry where I was at, or wasn't at where they weren't there where I was at, or the ones that were there where I was at weren't